Now I have to give the name of the container. The container is just the name of the newspaper, the periodical, or the journal that holds all of these different articles within it, right? Think about what a container does. A container, we put stuff in it that's smaller, and the container has it keeps it all together. So that's what we're looking at here, and that is the Atlantic, and that is going to be in italics because we italicize container names. Then I'm going to put a comma. The next thing I'm going to be looking for is the publication information. When was it published? So it says October 2013. And there's no other. Sometimes you got to scroll down because the opposite side will give more information. Now, if I go back to here, you're going to see that it also gives me volume and issue number, but we don't use volume and issues for magazines. We only use volume and issue for journals. So even though I might see this information for newspapers and magazines, I just ignore it. I only go with the day, month, and year, and the Atlantic is just published once a month. So I'm going to use that instead. And I'm going to abbreviate my month, and I'm going to put the year. I'm going to put a comma. Now I'm going to put the location. So for a print journal, the location will be the page number or page numbers that it's on. This is more than one page, so I'm going to put 2 P's instead of 1 P to indicate pages. All right, and now here it says 72-78. When I look at it, I have to determine, is this consecutive or non-consecutive pagination? So consecutive pagination means that it's straight through the article, nothing interrupts it like a different article. Now, we don't count ads when we think about is it interrupted. We don't count big pictures. So if this had an ad for Clairol hair dye, we would just ignore that and still consider it a continuous. So it goes from 72 straight through to 78, right? If this were a non-consecutive pagination, which is common in newspapers, it might start on one page and then it skips many pages and finishes on that, right? So there's a difference in how you would do that. So let's see if I can find. Let's see if I can find a newspaper here. Okay, so Sports Illustrated is a magazine. Sporting News is kind of a hybrid. Let's see what they say it is. Okay, they still call it a magazine. It's kind of written like a newspaper. Oh, here we go, USA Today. So USA Today is a newspaper. Let's just click something and choose an article. So it looks like the only thing in USA Today are in HTMLs. Okay. In a newspaper, this might start like maybe this much is on page 1, and then the rest of it at the bottom you'll say go to or continues on page such and such, right? So it doesn't go from page 1 to page 2. It might skip, right? Or it's not the only thing on page 1 and page 2, so that's not continuous. So in that case, you would paginate that differently, right? So just be aware of that, and you can look in your book to see the rules. So this is just going to be 72-78, period. Now at this point, I have to give my database information. So I'm going to give the database name, and that's going to be in italics because it's a container, right? Let's go. Oh, okay, here we go. And then I need the DOI number or the web address, right? So if I go to the detailed record, doesn't say that there's a DOI number. To make sure in EBSCO, I can click here at the Cite button, and I can come up here and look under MLA. And sure enough, it doesn't have a DOI number. It just has an HTTP address. So I'm going to copy that. And notice here, they gave the wrong information for it. This is one way where you can't just trust this. This is not how we do that. I mean, they even have a colon here in parentheses. That's, oh, I'm sorry, that's Turabian. I was like, that's just totally wrong. Right here, right? They give us the volume and number. We don't want that. We just want the month and date. So again, be aware that that's going to be a problem for some of these. You have to double check. So I've got that location, and I'm going to just paste it, right, and then hit enter. And now I've got to, sorry. Now I've got to make sure that I've got the right indentation. So I'm going to go to paragraph, and right here, I'm going to choose hanging indent, and it will indent that. Now, notice how that comes down, you know, that it doesn't fill up this line. Sometimes you'll find that they do, and sometimes they don't. So after any forward slash, you can hit enter, and it will wrap it around, at least use up more of that line. Right? Sometimes you get something like this, and it doesn't make that much of a difference. Now I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to go ahead and hit block indent. Right? Now notice these two things. I'm still in hanging indent mode, so I got to go up to paragraph, and I have to hit none, so that it's just the margin has just moved over. And this is where I'm going to then give my annotation. Right? So I'm going to start off with talking about what her, you know, what her claim is. Right? And so having read this, I know that right, it's going to be something like that. That's what she's arguing. I would then move into how does she use the rhetorical triangle to present her case, and then I would identify any propaganda that she has used or logical fallacies. And then when that's done, I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to go back to my margin. I'm going to make it hanging indent so that I can then give my second works cited entry, right? So again, if you use the template, then all I would have to do is paste that there, and then I can start writing my annotation right there, like that.